It's the Center Fantasy Football Podcast.
Welcome to the party, pal!
Yes! Yes! Yes, this is my favorite part of the game.
Analyzing all of the league matchups week to week.
You can't win!
Get him a body bag! Finish him!
It is a bit above average.
I said this sucks, and basically so do you.
And discussing the boom, bust, and hidden gem players throughout the league.
We ain't found shit!
What the hell is Brett Favre doing here?
I'm in town to play the Dolphins, you dumbass.
Dan Marino should die of gonorrhea and rot in hell. Laces out.
Touchdown!
And here's your host,
Allow myself to introduce myself.
David Harbatkin. Hello and welcome to the Center Fantasy Football Podcast for Week 10 of Season 5. I am joined on the program by the somewhat depressed but resilient commissioner, coach of the Hackettstown Hagglers, Mr. Gay Zaletzky.
What's up?
All right, well, we have a bunch of games to talk about this week. Some exciting ones, some really pathetic ones. I mean, this was almost I was talking to you during the games, and it was like a limbo week. I don't mean limbo as in we were in limbo. I mean limbo is in how low can you go in some of these scores. I mean, there was not much offense to be had in most of these teams. I mean, there was a lot of buys for a lot of teams, but some very low scoring this week. Yeah, and it led to some close matchups. None closer than I guess the first one we could get out of the way. Decided by the smallest margin of the season. The Millennials end up defeating the Hackettstown Hagglers 101.42 to 99.50. Houston, we have a problem. This is the first game without Deshaun Watson injuring himself in practice. We're talking about practice. And ultimately this game, I mean, I am shocked at the comeback by the Millennials. I mean, he had 1.6 points after halftime of the Sunday morning games, and he ended up roaring back to win it essentially by one pass. As good a game as Marvin Jones had, and he had a really good game, he scored the touchdown with, what was it, like 10 minutes left to go in the game, and ends up, you know, you think it's garbage time, the Lions are going to win, you know, they're just going to run out the clock. The score at that point was 99.50 to 99.12. The only thing that couldn't happen was a pass to Marvin Jones, and that's exactly what happened. It was unbelievable for it to play out that way. So we can get into the numbers of these games and some of the decisions that were made here. I mean, this was obviously, certainly a winnable game for the Hagglers. But, you know, I'll let you get into this to start, and I'll kind of jump in afterwards. But go ahead.
Yeah, this was just a big fat mess once again. Thank God we're getting rid of this game early. Everything started off pretty decent. McClown and Anderson got decent points in the beginning, and then, what can we say? Maybe you just sit on your laurels resting too much. Like you said, at the half, he had 1.6 points at the halftime of the 1 o'clock games. I mean, that's pathetic. I mean, you just think you have it in the bag, and then it goes to show you this week, anything can happen. So, you know, I had Forte in there, took him out for Cup. That was a disaster. And, Martin didn't do anything. He had a very tough match. I don't know what the Buccaneers just imploded. I don't know what happened there.
Well, you didn't even. Well, Well, you didn't take out Martin for Cup. What you did was you took out Martin before the game because you had to pick up Teddy Bridgewater in anticipation of him coming back. So you dropped Martin, and then you ended up repicking him up back in the free agent auction, spending your last dime.
Oh, you mean Forte?
Forte.
Yeah,
that's what I meant.
So,
right, and then you ended up
so
putting in Cup.
Watson injury just caused a cascade effect that was just ridiculous, dude.
Well, yeah, I mean, like, I I was talking to you last week. First of all, there was like 2 days in a row where I just texted you like horrific fantasy football news. Like, so the first day, I was like, did you see the Deshaun Watson injury? And then, did you see that
Elliott doesn't get suspended?
Yeah, and then did you see?
Hail Mary appeal. I mean, this is nonsense.
Right. So you end up making the so right before the Jets game on Thursday, you end up dropping Forte, picking up Bridgewater, picking up McClown, also dropping obviously Watson. Yeah, and then you had Sanu in the lineup and Drake's Cakes, who you had just picked up right before the Sunday game. I mean, because all right, so Thursday comes around, McCown gets 18.9 points, 14 for Robbie Anderson. Although, I mean, that was there was a play there where McCown ran it in himself, and he had Anderson open, and you could just flick to him. That would have made the difference. I mean, like, so many things would have made the difference here. But it looks, pretty good for you. He had the Buffalo defense. They had -1 point. So after that first game, you were leading like 36 to -1. And then Sunday rolls around, and then you decided to put in Sterling Shepard, who got 12 points. And then you decided to put in Cooper Kupp, who got only 8.4. In a game that the Rams blew out the Giants. So basically, everybody got touches except for Kupp. Sanu was taken out of the lineup. He got 11 points, 11.3 points. Drake got 16.4. And, so for the Millennials, after the 1 o'clock games, it still looked, I mean, you had a very big lead. I mean, you were finished at 1 o'clock, or at 4 o'clock. And basically was just watching at that point. It was 99.5 points. That's what you had then. And then he had some guys going. I mean, I think he had, what he had? He had to average 20 points a player at that point. Because he had Alex. Yeah, so he had Alex Smith, Amari Cooper, D. Williams, the new running back in Miami, who with Jay Ajayi out, has a new role there, and Marvin Jones on Monday night. So Alex Smith gets 23 points, 23.42. Not that bad. But I mean, not scintillating, and then Amari Cooper only gets 9.8. D. Williams gets 18, so that kind of makes up a little bit for that. And then Monday night, they just constantly went to Marvin Jones Jr. There was another play that you would also mention that really made the difference, which was the Eagles had they had a huge lead. It was 4th down. They should have just lined up to kick the field goal. I mean, they had a blowout lead, but they could have kicked a field goal, and instead they don't. They just run it up the middle and turn over the ball on downs instead. So many little pieces impacted this game.
Yep.
I mean, he gets -1 from his kicker and his defense total out of those two positions. Yet still manages to pull this out by the slimmest of margins. I mean, and then obviously we have to talk about Doug Martin. I mean, Lombardi has got to be. I mean, he must have creamed his pants when he saw when he saw Doug Martin get .70 points, and you lose by that. I mean, granted, he got .70 more points than Le'Veon Bell this week, who was on a bye. But
he didn't drive to my house and knock on my door.
Right. So, Yeah, I mean, I don't even know. I didn't watch that game. I have no idea why it was so bad. I mean, I know that Jameis Winston injured himself, and I know that Mike Evans got ejected and eventually is serving a 1-game suspension. But yeah, I mean, whew. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what else to say about this game. I mean, look, this was exciting in terms. I mean, it became an exciting game. It was a huge comeback, one of the biggest comebacks I've ever seen. It wasn't like offensively exciting, but it was. It ended up being an exciting game. Unfortunately, I mean, because like the weird thing was, is you and I had like very opposite experiences this Sunday, in that. You were finished at 1:00. My opponent, Lombardi, who we'll talk about that game in a second, finished at 1:00. And, your opponent had like no points. I had like halfway through. And then so through the evening games, you're just like looking at it and like, all right, I got this in the bag. And then suddenly you're like, what? And then suddenly you're like, no, what? No, now. And I had a very similar experience watching it, like with my team being like, why are we not scoring? No, now. I mean, it ended up that we ended up winning, but I mean, this was a brutal week, just stress wise. I could say from my perspective, and I'm pretty sure from yours as well. Although I don't even know if you had time to process the stress, because I mean, you go into the Sunday games and I mean, it still looked like, I mean, like Marvin Jones needed nearly 30 points in order. I mean, you're like, all right, Marvin Jones is not going to get 30 points, and he just gets 29 points, just enough. I mean, so I don't think you had stress really until Monday night, and it was like for 8 minutes, and then it was over. Like I just. Like, how, like, I don't know. How do you, like, did you even have time to process what was happening?
Yeah. Obviously, this was very disgusting. Can we just move on to the next game? Cover this game ad nauseum. Let's just move on to the next one.
Fine. All right. We will move on to the next one. We'll move on to the 1603ers game. This is what was going to be the big game of the week, I thought, going into it. So, the previous week, the 1603ers take on Eugene in a shootout, high-scoring game. And that game was for first place at the time. And then, the 1603ers had to turn right around and play Lombardi the next week. And, again for first place, because the winner of this game was going to be in first. And it was the exact opposite. It was not a shootout at all. And so, and mind you, this is the first time in the history of the Center Fantasy Football League that the 03ers have failed to reach 100 points. Never done it. I looked back on the records all the way back to the first season. I have never, ever gotten below 100 points, and this was the first time I did it. But Lombardi got even less than that. So as I had mentioned, so the final score was 92.08 to 74.10. Now I was watching this game, and so after the 1:00 games, Lombardi was finished. As I said, he had 74.11 points, and at that point, I had almost half his score, having just had my kicker, and Teddy Ginn go. And LaShawn McCoy on Thursday night. So Thursday night happened. I think I went to the movies. I got back, and he had a lead. He had Tyrod Taylor getting 30.9 points, and he had Jermaine Kearse go, and he only had 5.8. So he had like a 36 to 2.5 lead, and I was like, no, like LaShawn McCoy. With only, like, I just had no idea, like, how does he only have 2.5 points? But then Sunday rolls around, and all right, Lombardi finishes with 74.1, and I'm halfway there, and I still have Kareem Hunt, Kelsey, Cousins, Thompson going. Now I dropped Will Fuller right before the game. Because I had been stressing with the Houston we have a problem scenario too, in that Savage was replacing it. And I'm like, he's not going to do anything. I mean, it was a favorable matchup. I mean, if Deshaun Watson is in there, I mean, Will Fuller gets an amazing amount of points. But I was like, I really wanted to win this game, and I was just like, I can't afford to have him. So I couldn't afford to have him play that game. So I dropped him. I ended up picking up T. Jones, who actually did even worse than Fuller did. He's now no longer a 1603. He was immediately... I never drop player. I usually wait until, like, all right, I'll pick up a player and drop him maybe. No, I dropped him after midnight on Monday because I'm like, I don't even want you to think that you have an opportunity to play on this team ever again. I was so disgusted by his performance. But... but I'm like watching the afternoon games. I was watching the Dallas Kansas City game, and I'm just like, nothing's happening. Why am I getting no points? And you were watching the Washington Seattle game, and you're like, yeah, they don't have the ball again. They don't have the ball again, and he's not doing anything. And I was just like, am I going to lose like to a team that scored 74? Like, what is going on? And then right towards the end of the game, so towards the end of that game, it was a 2-point lead that I had. It was like 76-74, and then I'm sitting there. There's like only a couple minutes left, and I'm just like, I was contemplating sitting my defense because the defense could have theoretically lost 3 points. Like, because once I had gotten lead, I'm like, all right, the game, we escaped. The game's over. We won. But then I was like, but do I even play my players tomorrow night and just, because I would have been unimaginably angry had I played the defense that lost 3 points and I lose by 1 point to Lombardi. So I was not even going to play the Detroit defense. And then I think there was one catch, or no, Kirk Cousins came back at the end of that game and just barely put him over. So it was outside the 3-point window, and I was like, all right, I could play even if they lose 3 points. I'll still have the lead by 2 and just escape from this horrid week. And then the defense was doing well-ish, and then they get to the fourth quarter in garbage time, and they give up a bunch of points, and T. Jones gets like nothing in the game, 4.9 points. But I mean, this was just a pathetic performance. Okay, so just looking at the many pathetic performances. All right, we mentioned Mike Evans he got ejected and only had 2.3 points. Curse 5.8. Now Devonta Freeman 10.4, and I think you were watching that game too, saying, "Oh, he went down again," and I'm like, "Yes!" And they're like, "Oh, he's back out on the field." I was like, "No!" And you were doing the same because you have his backup, Devin Coleman. So, but he ended up finishing with 10.4. Lamar Miller with 12.1. This was the other thing that was going on was the tight end. I noticed I didn't actually go to sleep that night. It was daylight savings, whatever, which was an extra hour. But I noticed on the thing in the morning, like Zach Ertz was out. I was like, yes, I think we got this game. And like it's inching closer and closer to 10 a.m. for me, and I'm like, I don't know if Lombardi's going to do anything. I don't know if is he going to just play Zach Ertz who's out, and then at 9 minutes to 10 or 1 for the people on the East Coast, he replaced him, but he replaced him with Griffin from Houston. Because like so for the hour and a half, it was like the longest hour and a half of my life. Like, is he going to do it? Is he not? Is he going to go? Like, is he going to go out and get Higbee and because I mean Higbee had an okay game. I mean, he ended up having 7 points. It wouldn't have made a difference, but it stressed me out. And then he also, the backup for Ertz ended up getting a touchdown too. And I was like, is he going to do that? And then there's like the evil part of me that's thinking, well, do I just pick up all the tight ends available for like an hour? But I didn't do any of that. I was like, all right, if Lombardi wakes up and does this, good for him. If not, whatever. I don't need to participate in any shenanigans. I'll let him. But the thought was there. And then he replaced, and I was like, darn it. But then I was like, oh, Griffin. I don't know who that is, and thank God. So, yeah, get 0 points from the tight end. He played Collins. I mean, Collins, didn't he have like a huge bidding war last week? He only gets 5.6 points. Haskell with 13-4 for the Baltimore defense, which was another thing that I was kind of worried about, was the Baltimore defense, because he also made that last-minute substitution, replacing the Cincinnati defense, and I was like, oh man, I was hoping he was gonna play Cincinnati, but he ended up playing Baltimore, who really only got 3 more points than the 1 point from Cincinnati. And then for my team, look, Zerline got 17 points. That was something that I was considering throughout the week as well, because at the time I had Butker and Zerline, and I didn't know I was actually favoring the idea of playing Butker, but I really wanted to pick up Corey Davis, not necessarily to play him that week, but to pick him up, to have him on the roster, and everybody else was on a bye that week. So I needed the room, and I dropped Butker because, first of all, I knew he was going on a bye this week, and I thought if I wanted to pick him up and whatever, I could do again anyway. So I did, and it ended up being the best move of the week because he gets me 17 points, which, I mean, what did I win by? That's 6 plus 10 plus 2. So, I mean, that really would have been nail-bitingly close. And like I said, I don't know if I would have played the defense had I been close enough. So, I mean, that one little decision, which was like a nothing decision in my mind, ended up saving the game for me this time. But you look at the pathetic performances. I mean, Kirk Cousins is really hurting behind just a decimated offensive line. He can't get anything done. Teddy Ginn came through again. Got another touchdown, although he's been touchdown dependent, but he's actually put together a good few games. Like I said, Jones was garbage and is gone. Hunt has been cooling off lately. I mean, he only got 10 points. I watched the first half of that Dallas game, and he was not getting anything going. And then in the fourth quarter, Andy Reid took him out and put in, I forgot who we put in, number 35. Yeah, I mean, McCoy was terrible. Kelsey, he had a good game again, 20 points. He almost had that reception at the end of the half where it wasn't even quite a Hail Mary, but he was the blocker for Tyreek Hill, who went in there. And then Thompson, had a bad game, only 7 points. So, I mean, this was just a pathetic fest on both sides of the ball, and I'm thrilled to have escaped it. I mean, this was this was a game that I had been worried about for a long time. I mean, I actually got Teddy Ginn weeks ago in anticipation of knowing that I was not going to have any receivers this week. I mean, especially right after Odell went down. So, I mean, I got him weeks ago just for this game, and he ended up coming through enough. And yeah, I mean, I knew off the bat that this was going to be a bad game for my team, and yeah, I'm just happy to have won. So your thoughts?
Yeah. I mean, Lombardi had all his players play by 1 o'clock. That was important, so you knew what you had to get to, and then you got to it. That's my summary.
Yeah, I think that's it. I mean, yeah. Nothing really left on the bench.
I think you pretty much covered your game.
Yeah.
You haven't left a crumb for the other commentator to say anything.
Yeah, that's true. Yes, that is absolutely true. These other games, I'll let you get in on more, but this one, I'm telling you.
Left a crumb for the other guy to say anything.
True. I usually don't, but I wanted to beat Lombardi. I mean, I wanted to beat Lombardi, and I wanted to, to win this. I mean, I wanted to win for the standings anyway, especially. And I knew how much that Lombardi must have wanted this game. I mean, Eugene loses the week before, and I know that he wanted to march in there on Monday or Tuesday and rub it into Eugene's face like, ha! and to be first place in the league. So it was quite sad, and especially with the history that I have of him beating me so many times, I wanted this game. And I'm not proud of the performance, but I'm just happy to have eked it out. I don't feel like I can brag about this performance at all because it was pathetic, but I'm relieved more than anything else. So yeah. So yes, I didn't leave you anything to comment on because of all of that. I actually invested a lot of energy into thinking about this game all week. So yes. Well, since I've taken away your opportunity to talk about that game, give me a game that you would like to talk about.
Let's see. Let's just go right down the list to the next one. All right. So Nikki Baby and Tillet Trey.
I'll let you lead off. Go ahead. So you can get all your commentary in out of the way.
All right. So yeah, Nikki Baby has been. I think he's lost 4 straight. He's really been on a reeling slump since Aaron Rodgers got injured. He did trade for Stafford, so his 26 points that actually kind of got him somewhat remotely competitively close. Everybody else in the team, as you look down the list, single digits all the way down until Cook abused the Miami defense. Lucky for him. And his most important offensive player, Jacksonville, did, mediocre. I guess not a good matchup. McManus, I'm sorry, with 15 points, pretty good. But the meat of the order there, Fuller, Jackson, and then Yeldon. Whew, that suspension for Blount, or not Blount,
Fournette,
really, that really was devastating there. And then, Kimmel gets Todd Gurley back, and 24 points. The guy's an animal. And then 30 from Prescott. Kimmel's he's a force to be reckoned with. That Kimmel, you don't want to mess with him.
Yeah.
And Houston defense with 12, and Nicky Baby's got to do something creative here because I feel like he's in a shell. He's a shell of his former coaching self since Rodgers went down.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. Now, he got Stafford for me in the trade. So here's the interesting thing. I actually traded him Matthew Stafford for Will Fuller, and then I dropped Will Fuller. So it's basically he got Stafford for free. I don't regret it in that I needed Will Fuller to win the week before against Eugene. Had I not had Fuller, I would have lost that game. So it paid. He paid off for one win, and now he's terrible. And Nick picked him right back up, and he remains terrible. Stafford, on the other hand, he did pretty well. 26 points. I mean, that's nothing to sneeze at. I certainly would rather have him right now than Kirk Cousins. I'll tell you that. But I stand by my decision on that trade anyway because I thought Fuller was with Deshaun Watson in there a really good pickup. And I mean, Nick, I don't understand what he's doing there to go pick him up out of the garbage after Watson goes down. I mean, was he not reading what was going on? I don't know. Like he really has been reeling since that Aaron Rodgers injury. I don't know what's going on there in Nicky Baby territory. I mean, he's still holding on to Terrell Pryor, who got like 3 points on his bench. I mean, Devontae Adams ended up with 12.3. Okay, even better than Jordy Nelson is doing on the other side. But I don't know what's going on over there. I mean, he's in trouble right now. I mean, and when his best offensive player, the Jacksonville defense, can only muster 12. Yeah, he's in trouble. For Tillett is good. I mean, he suffered a little. I mean, it's been an interesting season for Tillett. I mean, because he suffered from the Aaron Rodgers injury. There was like a game where Nelson got injured or hurt for like the game and came out. I mean, like Nelson has really been like an Achilles heel for him, and not even because he's so. I mean, it's just like the constant things going around him. Like I think in week 2 he ended up with 0 points, which ended up costing him that game. Then, ever since Rodgers has been down, I mean, he got 2.3 points and 7.5. He's really been hurt by that injury. Landry and Parker are fine. I mean, the week before, Parker didn't play, and he ended up getting 0 points on his bench. But, and Gore's been okay. Todd Gurley has been really his superstar. and he gets 24.4 points in this game. So, I mean, Tillett, he's where he needs to be right now. Like he's suffered some injuries. He's in fourth place. I mean, he's a good team. He's not a team that you could, forget about. Whereas Nicky, baby, I don't know. Unless he does something, he might be. I mean, I just don't know. I mean, especially at receiving core. I mean, that's atrocious. But maybe he comes back. I don't know. I mean, I also don't understand why he's holding up a spot for Aaron Rodgers. Why is he not involved in the bidding? Why is he not dropping Aaron Rodgers? There's a lot of questions I have for what's going on there in Nicky Baby Land. Because honestly, I mean, look, he did make after Rodgers went down, he called me up to make the trade for a quarterback, and then I made the trade for Stafford. I mean, it's not like he totally gave up on the idea of trying to do anything. It's just I don't know what's going on there. Like, I think that he needs to be more proactive. I mean, like, you look at your team, for example, following what was equally a devastating injury, if not more, to Deshaun Watson. You didn't just sit on the sideline. I mean, like, look, maybe some of the mistakes hurt you or didn't, but you're still, like, we're involved constantly to try to get things done. I just don't see Nicky Baby doing that. I don't know.
He's got to make some moves. I mean, we play each other. He's 4-5 this week. I'm 4-5. At this point, this is a winner take all.
Yeah, it is. All right. Well, going down the list, next game. What is our next game?
All right, going down the list. Now we've got Lightning Rods and Eugene, Dave's Secret Crush.
I'll let you lead off. Go ahead.
All right. And in this one, the Lightning Rods were trying to make it close, but Eugene just had too much there. A little too much for Russell Wilson and company. That Wilson to Baldwin connection is what won him that one late in the Washington game. Otherwise, Eugene is one of the people that is suffering greatly from the Deshaun Watson injury. Obviously, I think the biggest hit in the face, but Eugene with DeAndre Hopkins, that's pretty significant there. And he also, I think, with Carson Palmer going down, Fitzgerald's numbers are kind of like, back down to earth. I mean, he had a great game with, not great, but 12 points is fine. But with Stanton in there, I don't know if those numbers are going to continue. And Hopkins actually had 20 points somehow with most savage at quarterback. But again, I don't look for those numbers to continue. Philly defense is pretty solid. They're off this week, or next week, or this upcoming week, right now, whatever week. When will then be now?
Soon.
So, so he's not going to have them available to him, so it'll be interesting to see who he picks up. But otherwise, Eugene at 6-3 is in a pretty decent spot to get that, first or second seed. So, top over to the Lightning Rods, who I got to fend off to get a playoff spot. So hopefully his team just implodes here. Let's see. We got Hill and Newton as usual superstars. You got Jay Ajayi, luckily, gone from that Miami dump over to Philadelphia. So now this guy becomes a huge weapon. It's just what we need. Mixon finally getting a chance to play. Vernon Davis in the mix. Lockett with 3 points. That was his only real weakness. It was a pretty close game. But like I said, that Wilson to Baldwin late in that Seattle game, that was it right there. That was just a killer.
Yeah, I mean, so on a week where teams got very few points, I think Eugene got a lot of points. A lot for this week. But I think that he really benefited from some nice matchups that are not, that he so I agree with you that he's going to feel the impact of the Watson injury, of the Carson Palmer injury, but the matchups that those guys were going against this week Indianapolis is atrocious, So yes, DeAndre Hopkins can get his points there. And then Larry Fitzgerald was playing San Francisco, who was equally as abysmal. and still only gets 12 points. But when if Arizona plays like a real team, like an NFL quality team, like I don't know if that happens with Stanton throwing to him. And the same thing with Hopkins. I mean, like, look, Hopkins is good, but I mean, last year he was atrocious with Osweiler throwing to him, and I if I'm Eugene, I'm a little bit concerned. I mean, like, he might not be thinking that way, like, oh, because okay, they did all right, but there should be some concern on the horizon. Also, he did have the man of Lombardi's dreams on a bye this week, so I mean that is gonna reduce his point totals. Anyway, he had a bunch of people on a bye, but this was a game. Yeah, I agree. This was the Russell Wilson Doug Baldwin connection. But I mean, again, they were playing Washington, who's not that great. I mean, they ended up winning. Washington did. So I think that it looks fine right now, and obviously he's in second place right now. He picked up actually a lot of points in the on me in the race for most points, which if I falter, which we'll talk about whether or not I do later, because I'm significantly concerned about my game this week. But there are some things to think about and to be concerned about that just wouldn't have materialized this week, given the matchups that they played. For the Lightning Rods, I mean, Tyreek Hill got 15. I mean, he has not been doing well lately. I mean, he got 15 points, but it was really on that one play for the most part. I mean, he had 4 targets, 2 receptions, 64 yards on that one play and a touchdown. So, I mean, that's all that play. I mean, he's been up and down. I mean, he had 4 points the week before, and then 2 weeks before that, 7.5, 8.5. He, like, every other week he has a good game, and this week he has a bye, and then he plays the Giants. So maybe we'll count the bye as a bad game. But I don't know. I don't know how much confidence I have in him. Says Bryant was fine. I mean, yes, he does. He should be thrilled that Jay Ajayi, who was not a fit in Miami, ends up moving to Philadelphia, because that really helped. Picked up Vernon Davis. That was good. But, yeah, I mean, he's got some question marks, but he's still in the mix. I mean, he's still got a pretty good team. So, and he almost won this game. He really did. It was, I think it was that last minute kind of passing to Baldwin that changed it around, but it looked like for a while there that the Lightning Rods might have pulled this one out, but didn't happen. So yeah. Nope. Next game.
All right, let's roll it right down the list, and we've got House Targaryen in the house.
All right, House Targaryen in the house. Go ahead.
Well, go That's Nick and Jamie. What are you going to say about this one? All right, Carson Wentz is usual dynamo, but the problem here is if you take a quick glance, it's pretty much the same as a lot of other teams. We got single digits almost all the way down the line to get towards the Golden Tate salvaged it on the Monday night, but Evan Ingram, hockey's never-ending tight end carousel. Finally picks a winner again, but Julio Jones finally showed up, although he had a humongous drop in that game in the fourth quarter. He dropped an easy touchdown, but I don't think that would have made up the margin as the juggernaut of Jared Goff stepping onto the field for Nick and Jamie. That's all we need is another superstar on their team. And Alshon Jeffrey with 20. I mean, if they put all these people together, Robert Woods 23, with Antonio Brown and their usual three-headed monster, these guys would get 200 points a game. I mean, I don't know how these guys do it. They are a high-end Coach One. I don't know how these guys always manage to do it. They are just amazing. So Peterson with 16. I mean, they should just plug in their other superstars, and this team is just going to be out of control this season. I don't know what to tell you.
Well, first of all, I love the headline on their game. Nick and Jamie relishes their underdog role in upset over House Targaryen, claims 6th place. Has anybody ever called House Targaryen beating House Targaryen an upset? Although I do kind of think it is, in that I was, going into this game, all of their superstars were gone. I mean, Tom Brady, Antonio Brown, Rob Gronkowski, 3 of the 4 of their headed monster were on a bye, and they still pull out a win. That's impressive. For hockey, I mean, he has to be just kicking himself. I mean, he has to do that every week anyway, but my God. So, what did he do with so his kicker was on a bye, right? So he kept the kicker and then picked up Butker, who only got 5 points. He picked him out of my trash bin. So, but then, so the real decision that hockey had to make in this game was, that the RB2 that he was going to play, right? Was he going to play DeMarco Murray, or was he going to play Marshawn Lynch? And as usual, Dr. Hockey picked the wrong choice. Marshawn Lynch, 20.3 points. DeMarco Murray, 6.1. He gets that 20 points. It's a lot closer. Now, was there anything left for him to maybe... I don't know if there's anything else to salvage this from anyway. He only left 30 points on the bench. I mean, Nick and Jamie, 2.7 points left on the bench. I mean, that is... that is impressive. Golf clap if you only leave 2.7 out of 2 players on your bench. Like, that's some good coaching. Just not only did they pick up the players, but they played their best lineup. I mean, good for them. I don't understand Nick and Jamie's record. I really don't. I mean, how were they 4-5?
I don't know. I think if they play this, they put in their regular superstars and just mix in the rest of these guys that got ridiculous points, you could just pencil them in for the championship.
Yeah, but the problem is, I guess they don't perform. I mean, like, Woods does not get 23 points on a normal week. I don't know. I mean, they've been up and down. I mean, also, Rashard Matthews, he ended up getting a touchdown, which brought him up to 17 as opposed to 10. I mean, Alshon Jeffrey got 26 points on a game that they just blew out Denver. I don't know. I mean, they've been one of those teams that have been just up and down. You just don't. I don't know. I mean, in hockey, this pretty much eliminates him. Look, he was on a 2-game winning streak. If he had won here, then you knock Nick and Jamie down to the same record, I think, right? Wouldn't it have been 3-6? They would have been both 3-6. Would have knocked them down, basically knocked them out along with him, or either one of those 2 teams would have had to win out. Instead, hockey takes the brunt of it and see goodbye. He's playing for $5 a game now. I mean, yeah.
Hockey's my best customer. I only owe him $10 at the end of the season.
Exactly. So yeah, I don't know, but and Nick and Jamie, aren't they? Are they? What does the standings look like? Are they? Well, we'll get into the standings later, but yeah, they're a dangerous team. All right. Anything else on this game? But yeah, gotta hand it. Yeah. All right. So does that just leave us with Black Ice Dynasty versus the special team?
Black Ice Dynasty.
This is an upset. Now, you could say beating House Targaryen is an upset all you want, but this I was not expecting. Now, Miner did have some unfortunate things happen to him in this game. So I'll let you get it because I have very descriptive. I was watching this game actually very interested in it, so I'll let you get into it so I don't steal all your thunder.
Well, first of all, I was involved in the 2 unfortunate fisticuffs on Sunday. It was Mike Evans hammering somebody in the back for a 1-game suspension. And then A.J. Green with the chokehold, takedown, punching the guy's helmet. So A.J. Green did not play the rest of that game. He was booted out along with Jalen Ramsey. And then Mike Evans went down. And then Winston injures his shoulder. So you got Minor here with no starting quarterback and no wide receiver one. And this guy, Hilton and Kamara, are putting on a clinic. You can't cover D.Y. Hilton. He's got an 80-yard touchdown bomb and another long touchdown bomb. Kamara is just running up and down the field all day long. So you're like, oh, my God, what's LeVar going to – is he actually going to win with these kind of numbers? Brace didn't do anything. Nobody did anything in that Tampa game. If you had a Tampa Bay player, you were doomed in that game. You weren't getting anything. And then the Giants, they just flat out gave up on their coach. Obviously, minus 3 points, 51-point shellac. That's the worst you can ever give up is -3. And they hit that in a hurry. I mean, the Giants had no sacks, no interceptions, no fumble recoveries, and that was a pencil me in for -3. They were looking for -3 from the locker room before the game started. All right? So Minor, to even come within 20 points is just a miracle. And then, run MCMC as this guy's fucking called, McCaffrey. I don't know why these stupid-ass nicknames they come up with. Those three guys scored 100 points, if you look at it. They had like 80 points. That was ridiculous. The three running backs, or two running backs and Hilton. But otherwise, Whalers was just too. I mean, Whalers, had he faced a normal opponent with his quarterback not being injured and his wide receiver not thrown out of the game, this might have been a lot closer. And need I renew my needless renewal? The Ezekiel Elliott mockery of a suspension at this point. You could just call it a mockery. I mean, I've been keeping those two fat asses on my bench waiting for this guy to be suspended. I don't know what's going on with this crap, but sooner or later it's not even going to matter. So kudos to the Whalers once again for keeping an illegal player in your roster once again. But, Whalers' numbers, a decent game for Demaryius Thomas, mind you. He's the Amari Cooper. He's wide receiver 2 of the Amari Cooper league of doing nothing. Cooper's wide receiver number 1 of doing nothing. But since Brock Osweiler got in there, Thomas is really blown up already. 21 points. And then you got Breeze and Michael Thomas, those usual two shenaniganizers, doing their thing. And Carlos Hyde, what's going on with this guy? 1 week he gets 1 point, then he gets 21 points. What are you going to do? And then Hearns, I mean, Whalers got to learn the hard way. You got to get rid of Hearns. He sucks. Bortles sucks. Hearns sucks. But, Croft was a decent pickup. But this story was really the brawl. The brawl in those two games really hurt Minor.
Yeah, I mean, Elliott didn't really have. I mean, most of Whalers' games that he's won, it's been on the back of Ezekiel Elliott. I mean, this time he did fine, but this was not won by Elliott. I mean, you could take Elliott out of the lineup this week, and he still wins this game. Not by much, but he still would win. I mean, I don't even. Yeah, I mean, just a decent game for some play. I mean, it's weird how that adds up to 130. Does that really add up to 133? Because there's so many single digits there at the bottom, and then, 13 for the Arizona defense. I mean, I guess. I mean, pedestrian game for Drew Brees. Pedestrian game from Michael Thomas. Demaryius Thomas had a good game. Okay, Carlos Hyde, good game. I'm surprised that adds up to 133. Wow.
Oh, good. Do we have to get the calculator? That's these ridiculous numbers?
I mean, I guess it does, but does that really look like to you a team that gets... did he get the high score of the week? He might have gotten the high score of the week. I don't know.
I mean, while we have time on the show, let's just do a spot check. Spot ad.
No, Nick and Jamie had the high score. Nick and Jamie had the high score of the week, but by 2 points. But Nick and Jamie's team, you look at it and that looked like a score. Whalers are just really? Okay. But yeah, in this game, and that was the thing. So Winston went down and Green was out, and so I'm watching it, and I'm like, okay, well, Minor's done for this week. But then they just kept scoring. I was like, what is going on with T.Y. Hilton? What is going on with and then Minor's got to just be. and it was his birthday too. Happy birthday, happy belated birthday. But I mean, he's got to be looking at this thing, going like, "What? I should have won this. He should have."
Yeah. Yeah. Unfortunately, I'm doing a quick add up here. Everything looks to be in order.
I'm sure it is. I trust the computer on that. But I'm just saying.
So do I.
I'm just saying, like, Minor's just got to be, because he had this game. He really did.
Yeah, until the brawl happened.
Yeah, and the injury. I mean, like, there's no, you know.
I mean, you put up those guys' regular numbers, and Minor's got 170.
Yeah, and then Marquise Lee got 21.5 points on the bench too. I mean, like, not that you would have started him over AJ Green, but you know. And then you start Mariota, another 20 points there. I mean, Minor wins this, even with Marquise Lee and had he. I mean, obviously you're not going to know that the guy's going to get into a brawl and injure his shoulder, but you know, if you did, his backups could have won this game. And on a week where nobody scored, he could have gotten the high score of the league. I mean, yeah. Minor's good.
And had he played Javorius Allen, he could have rolled in with a cool 150 points.
Yeah. I mean, Minor's good. He's a high-end Coach 1. And he still hasn't spent a dime. It's amazing. Amazing.
Up $200 in free agency, that's a high-end Coach 1 right there.
Yeah, to be able to put this all together with no money spent, I mean, like, wow. Yeah. All right. Well, that brings us to the end of those games. We can move on to next week's games. Let's go over the do you want to go over the standings now, or do you want to go over the standings after the games?
No, let's go over the standings now. That's what we usually do.
All right. So, 1603ers with the win over Lombardi stay in first place, but they lose on the so the point. So there was a really large margin for the point totals between the 1603ers and Eugene, but he's really closed that gap. I mean, he started to close it. He was within 40, and now he's down. So it's 168 to 149. So what is that? That's 8 plus 10 plus 1. So it's 19 points. I mean, that's just, he's gotten it down to essentially, a game. I mean, so like the only thing that's keeping the 03ers on top is the record at this point. But if we even out, he could easily just take over first place on points. Just so there's that. Then you have Lombardi dropping down to third place. Still not a very. I mean, his point totals are not scintillating, but he's still got the lead. Tillett nipping on his heels. Tillett does have more points at this point. Minor drops down to 5-4. There was a real opportunity. I mean, he doesn't have that many points. I mean, this is the thing about Minor. I mean, he's been up and down in terms of like he'll win one week, he'll lose one week. He you never know. You never know what T.Y. Hilton's going to do. But right now he's in fifth place, and right now in the sixth spot, the last playoff spot was Nick and Jamie with a record of 4-5. I mean, it was a huge win for them over Doctor. I mean, like, and that just shows you the volatility of everything that's going on right now, because if Marvin Jones doesn't get that one pass at the end, you're in sixth place. And if Nick and Jamie loses to Hockey, they're tied with Dr. Hockey. So,
yep.
But instead, instead they're in a playoff position right now. So, I mean, it just shows you how volatile and everything else is. Right behind him is Nicky Baby, the special team, the Hagglers, and Lightning Rods all at 4-5. And, any one of those teams can come forth and make the playoffs for Hockey. Like, it's just, I mean, basically 2 more wins out of the next 4 games, and Hockey can't. Well, I mean, he can't. I mean, 3 more wins, let's say, would officially eliminate Hockey. He's not officially eliminated, but he's eliminated. And the Millennials, same kind of boat. I mean, like, look, if they somehow go on a run and win all the rest of their games, then they could finish at 7-6. But they're on the bubble of playing for $5 a game. But other than that, the 4 and 5 teams, they have about. I mean, they're fighting with each other. They're fighting for points, but they maybe they have a game in hand. They don't have to win out, but it starts to really become very playoff like for all of those teams. But I mean, honestly, anyone 6 through 10 could still make the playoffs. Technically 6 through 11. So, yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, it's a logjam. Between 5 and 4 and 4 and 5, that's 7 teams.
Yeah.
Locked in that logjam mess.
Which, by the way, yeah. So.
6 and 3 and 6 and 2.
And honestly, you can go all the way up to 4th place. All the 4 and 5 teams are one game behind 4th place. So you go down to 10th place. Something happens in reverse. They can be in 4th. You can literally leap from like 10th to 4th on 1 week, on one game. So
and none of the 4 and 5. Well, only me and Nick play each other at 4 and 5. Otherwise, everybody could be 5 and 5.
Yeah.
Except for me and Nick.
Yeah, one of the two. Yeah.
One team that could be less than 5 and 5. Otherwise, it could be a 6-team 5 and 5 log jam.
Yeah.
For 4th place.
Yeah, I mean, which just shows you just how absolutely nail-bitingly thin this is coming down to the stretch. All right, well, let's get into the next week's games, and we could start with that Nicky Baby and Hackettstown Hagglers game. I mean, this is, for all intents and purposes, a playoff team or a playoff game for both of your teams. I mean, the loser really finds himself behind the 8 ball. The loser moves to 4 and 6. That's, I mean, first of all, the best you could do at that point is 7 and 6, and then you're still fighting to get points at that point. So a loss here, I mean, really puts the losing team behind the 8 ball. Won't eliminate them, but it becomes really tough. So let's look at the game. Right now the projection is 110 to 100 in favor of Nicky Baby at this point. Although we know with the Hagglers, the projections really don't mean much because they have been wildly off all season long. So looking at the quarterback matchup, you have McClown going against Tampa Bay and Stafford versus Cleveland. I mean, I got to give the edge to Stafford there. I mean, not that Tampa Bay is anything to be impressed by after we saw what happened last week. But, I mean, Cleveland with Stafford at home, I'm going to give the edge. Would you agree with that?
I would, but Tampa Bay's defense is crumbling like pancakes, so not much of an edge because their team is imploding.
Right. So that is actually a situation where McCown could outperform his projection. I think that Stafford can as well. Then you get to the wide receivers, and I think that you give a clear edge to the Hagglers here on both of them. You have Will Fuller at the Rams and Deshaun Jackson versus the Jets. I mean, Mike Evans is suspended, so I guess he becomes the number 1, but I don't know if you want that. And I don't know who's throwing to him.
Fitzpatrick.
Yeah, Fitzpatrick is. Oof, that's brutal. Those are two. Savage and Fitzpatrick are the QBs trying to get it to your wide receiver 1 and 2. Yikes. Look, you have the opportunity for 2 firsts with Anderson and Sterling Shepard going against San Francisco with Eli Manning having to be pissed. I think that you could really rack up some points in the wide receiver category in this game. Feel free to chime in if you.
Yeah, I agree. Unless Eli gets yanked for Geno's cheesesteak Smith, so we'll see what's going on over there. But you're right, he's got pissed. He's going to want to put up some good numbers to prove that he deserves to play. And then, Savage throwing to Fuller. You got to cut bait with anybody on the Houston team. They're horrid.
Yeah.
Plus, they play the Rams defense, and Rams get a lot of sacks and turnovers. It has the makings of a disaster. Another 51-point blowout. And I don't know if they even get 17 like the Giants got. I think that Savage gets mauled in this one. And again, Tampa Bay is in a free fall. sell your stock on any Tampa Bay people. Doug Martin included in that one. But, yeah, you got to – I don't know what Deshaun Jackson's going to do. He's got no Mike Evans, no Jameis Winston, Doug Martin, who's been doing pizzle. I mean, I don't know. The wide receiver position could be a problem this week for Nick.
Yeah, and then at the running back, okay, so you got a potential injury to Forte. I mean, he hurt his knee. I don't know if he's going or not. And Tevin Coleman versus Dallas. And then you have Mark Ingram at Buffalo and T.Y. Yeldon at the Chargers. Is T.Y. I mean, because what's his name back?
Fournette's there, but he has him in the flex.
Yeah, going with two Jacksonville run. I mean, he loves him some Jacksonville. Let me tell you. I mean, his best player is obviously the Jacksonville defense. I mean, that is a hard on for those Jaguars or something.
Mine with the defense. That's a three-headed monster right there.
It's a monster, all right. I mean, going against the Chargers, I don't know.
I mean, Ingram and Kamara on the Saints have really run up and down on everybody this season, so that could be a good start. But Buffalo's defense is looking to rebound after the Jets ran all over them.
Yeah, but Ingram, I mean, look, Ingram's numbers have been really good for the most part, but last week when Kamara got all those touches, I mean, it ended up, he only ended up getting 8.9, so this might be the turning of the page on Ingram at this point, which Nicky Baby cannot afford. And then going with both Yeldon and Fournette, that's... I mean, look, Fournette is good, but I mean, that's a dicey proposition there. Reed, is he even playing? I mean, I know he was injured. Is he coming back?
Practice for the first time today.
Yeah, I mean, I guess. Okay.
Still against me, but that's pretty brutal.
Yeah. I mean, like, all right, but Doyle is going against Pittsburgh. It's a tough-ish matchup, but I don't know how I don't think they do that great against, how does Pittsburgh do against, the ninth fewest fantasy points to, tight ends? Yeah, I mean, that's a tough matchup there, but I mean, he's still, I mean, who else does, I mean, I guess they have T.Y. Hilton. I don't know, whatever. I think Doyle will be fine. And then Sanu right now going versus Dallas versus Fournette. I mean, I like Fournette in that matchup. And you got Suckup. It's good. Did you just pick him up?
Just picked him up.
Yeah, I think that's a good pickup. Going against McManus versus New England. And then obviously, Nick's best player, the Jacksonville defense versus the Rams. But I think the Rams are going to have a field day. I don't know if they could put up, Jaguars-like numbers, but I think that they'll be fine. I mean, obviously, you're going to pick yourself in this game. This is a tough one for me to call. I just think, I mean, what does he have on his bench right now? What's the matter, Sanders? Are you chicken going against New England? He's still questionable. Adams against Chicago, I don't like that. Pryor, I don't like at all. And Aaron Rodgers still taking up an injury spot. So, I mean, the only person he could put in, I mean, he could theoretically move Fournette up to RB2 and then put in Emmanuel Sanders. What's going on with Sanders right now? Is he playing? I don't think he's going to. I think that's why he's doing it. I mean, because Crabtree and Cook are on a bye. I just think it's a bad move. I think it's a flex coach. Borderline flex play coach right there, that kind of move. Because really what you do is you got to drop Rodgers and just pick up somebody for the week at least. Because then you move Fournette up into the RB1 or 2 spot. And then you could put a real player in at the actual flex, or put in Sanders because the New England defense has been atrocious. But I mean, to go with both, I'm going to put it this way: I'm actually going to pick the Hagglers in this game. I mean, because you have some bench options too. Interesting. You've decided to sit Doug Martin, I'm sure. What was that? I think Lombardi just had a chub.
I think I heard something from Lombardi's house.
So, yeah, and whether or not you go with Forte, you're going to have to monitor that up to the minute. But you still have Drake to put in there. Who knows with Alfred Morris? You're sitting Diggs. That's interesting.
I hear something else coming from Lombardi's house.
Yeah, I'm going to pick the Hagglers. I mean, if this is the lineup that both of you guys go with, I'm going to pick the Hagglers. If Nick somehow makes an adjustment and doesn't play both Jacksonville running backs, then I'll reconsider. But I still think he's very weak at the wide receiver position. I mean, I don't know. I'm going to go with the Hagglers.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Hagglers, too.
Yeah. All right. Next game of the week. Where should we go?
Let's see. Should we go right down the list? Yeah, let's go right down the list here. So, 1603ers against Tilla Trey with his whole firepower on a bye, relying on the garbage can with Eli Manning. And Safarian Jenkins was picked up for this reason, and otherwise, this is who Dave's going with against Tilla Trey and the ever-dangerous Todd Gurley. He walked down Jordy Nelson. I mean, this guy's beyond Coors Light at this point. He's in O'Doul's with Huntley at the helm. Landry and Parker, I guess, but you got to understand it's Cutler throwing to them against Carolina. It was a brutal defense, so they might be held back a little bit. And Frank Gore, the corpse, isn't he even playing? He's going to get destroyed against the Pittsburgh Steelers. And Jimmy Graham, he shows up once every 3 or 4 games. I don't know if that's still on schedule for Tillett if he has any of those games left for him to actually do anything. And the kicker, he's decent, but going against the Buffalo defense, they should move it up and down the field. The Pittsburgh defense is always solid, but let's just say, Harblatkian, you've got your hands full here.
Oh, I absolutely do. This is a game that more than any other, that I'm worried about. I have matchup problems up and down the wazoo. I have no room to put anybody on this team. I am I am ripe to be beaten right here. I mean, yes, picked up Eli Manning out of the garbage can. I'm hoping that he has a good... First of all, I'm hoping that he even plays, because right now Kirk Cousins has been atrocious. I mean, like I said, a lot of that fault, the fault of that goes to the offensive line, but I mean, it doesn't matter. I mean, he got 8 points last week. It's pathetic. I just can't continue to roll with him. So yes, I picked up Eli Manning, hoping that he wants to prove himself. I mean, because even in that crap game last week, he got, I think, 17 or 18 points, which was 9 or 10 more than Cousins, who, actually played. And if you watched that Giant game, which I had no choice, that was the game that was on, my God, was that pathetic. I mean, they would just hand it off down the middle, for the entire second half. There was not even passing going. I don't even know how he generated those kind of points. So, yeah, gotta hope there. I mean, there's certainly, you gotta give the advantage to Dak Prescott. Teddy Ginn, I mean, I don't know how long I could ride that train. I mean, hopefully he does okay. I mean, he's on the road, which is not as great for, for New Orleans, but we'll see. Thalian still has Keenum throwing to him. I mean, I have nobody. I have no options, by the way. I mean, so Hogan is still injured. I mean, he's doubtful. Amendola is questionable, so he's probably not going to be able to go. I could go with Davis, who got 4 points last week, going against a tough Cincinnati defense against wide receivers. I mean, there's really no options for me here. So, then McCoy going against New Orleans. I mean, hopefully he has a bounce-back game. Right now I have White going against Denver, who's... I mean, they suck at everything except the running back. However, White is a receiving running back, so maybe he can get some points there, but then you still have Dion Lewis to contend with. I don't know. It's a mess. Jenkins at Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay sucks, so that's at least something. Chris Thompson, I mean, he's been good, but last week you saw he struggled against a tough run defense, and R. Kelly in the closet got garbage time, or not, he got vultured touchdowns. And, I mean, look, Cousins has nobody else to throw to because there's no time, so he does get some points, But he's not he's a receiving back. He's not in there every play. I mean, this is, and then Zerline against Houston, I like that, and Detroit against Cleveland, I like that. But then again, Pittsburgh is going against Indianapolis, so, I mean, it's not like his defense is anything to sneeze at this week. Yeah, I mean, I know I do this often, where I just pick my opponent anyway. But I really am concerned about this week. I am picking Trey to win this game because I'm very concerned about this game.
If I had to pick, I would definitely. Well, just Jordy Nelson is he's going to struggle with Hundley in there. I mean, Prescott's going to get his points. Landry and Parker have very tough matchups against Carolina. Pittsburgh defense is pretty solid, but I don't know how much production. I mean, is Todd Gurley going to carry the whole team again against Houston? He's going to put up some points.
Yeah.
And then you got the 1603ers. What a mess. You get everybody back next week, but this week, this is about as close to. I don't think I've ever picked against you all season long, but this is damn close right here. James White and Thompson against Minnesota is a brutal matchup.
You mean against him?
This just looks like a mess. I'm going to actually have to go with Trey team on this.
Yeah.
And I guess it would be considered an upset if you look at it from a record standpoint.
Yeah. But
when you get all your people back next week, it'll be a different story. But this week is just, if you win this one, I don't know what. this is just an easy league for you.
Yeah, I mean, if I this out of all of them, if I could pull off this win, I will be thrilled. I mean, because this is a tough one. Yeah. I mean, I gotta hope for a bad game from him.
Yep.
I don't know. All right. Well. Wow, we're both picking against me. That rarely. I mean, you're the one who doesn't pick against me. Usually, I'm the one who always does. But yeah,
never.
I know. All right. Well, let's.
Darth Vader pick against the Emperor.
The Emperor allows these kinds of things. Let's move on to the next game. I guess our list. So it's probably Lightning Rods versus the Blues.
Versus the Blues.
Okay, so right now, mind you, that nobody's been put in. There's still some players on a bye in the lineup. So, but the projection right now is 102 to 82 in favor of the Blues. Now, mind you, the Blues don't have anybody on a bye in the lineup. So that's their good projection is 102 versus the Lightning Rods who...
What? What? These projections this season are just mind-boggling.
I mean, look...
Are you saying that the full firepower of his lineup is going to get 102 points?
Yeah, that's their projection.
I don't know about that.
I mean, he could put in... I think he's made his edits already. Yeah, I think this is what they're saying. I don't know. I mean, Lombardi has not been a high scorer this season. I've been saying that. He's been getting wins, but it's been very much in the Nick pattern early in the season, where he would edge out a team. But I don't know. And this could be another game where he edges them out. But so let's see. At quarterback...
Well, at least this time he can't make the wrong choice with the Baltimore defense because they're on a bye.
Exactly. Although he's going with the New England defense. I mean, I know Denver is terrible, but New England defense is not good either. I don't know if I would do that, Bob. But all right. I don't know who's available, so I can't really whatever. But so you have Cam Newton going against Tyrod Taylor. I'm assuming he's going with Tyrod Taylor. He has Phillip Rivers on the bench right now, but I mean, either or. I actually think Tyrod Taylor is the better play, surprisingly, going against New Orleans. But Cam Newton against Miami, I like that. I'm certainly going to give the edge to Newton there. Jermaine Kearse going against a player on a bye. I'm going to give the player on a bye and the advantage there. just to show you what I think of Jermaine Kearse. Well, first of all, he's got to replace him with Juju Smith-Schuster. I mean, he's been pretty good. I mean, hasn't Martavius Bryant fallen out of favor there? I mean, I think he puts him in there, and he actually does better than Tyreek Hill would have done. So and even if he doesn't, I'm still going to give the slight edge to no player over Jermaine Kearse. So no, I won't. But I mean, like, I think he's going to get like single-digit points. But I do think Smith-Schuster will actually have a really good game against Indianapolis. Des Bryant at Atlanta, I think he'll do fine. I mean, Keenan Allen. I mean, what has Keenan Allen done? He has 10, 7, 9, 10. Yeah.
I can't believe he's not injured by now.
I know, it's amazing. He'd probably play better from his hospital bed. I mean, what's Des Bryant been doing? Same kind of mediocre up and down. I call that a wash. So again, all right. Jay Ajayi's on a bye. So what?
I love your assessment earlier. You know what your guys do, but for these other games, you have to like go into the sheet. Like, what is this? What is this guy even doing?
Yeah, I know what my players do, but I have no idea what some of these guys are doing. And
like, what the hell has this guy even done this year? Take a quick look. I couldn't tell you one guy from another on this team.
I know. Okay, so here's a problem for the Lightning Rods. They don't have a backup running back at this point. I mean, they could probably drop Garoppolo.
No, they'll probably drop their backup kicker.
Gostkowski? Don't people like him?
Oh, Prater. I think they just picked up Prater.
Oh, yeah. You're right. They'll drop Prater and pick up a running back, or at least they should.
Sure.
Vernon Davis and Mixon. I have no idea what that guy has done. I mean, he had a good week last week, as we just talked about. I mean, he's just 11, 13, whatever. Okay. And Lamar Miller has been suffering since Watson Yates has been gone, although it's only been 1 week as a sample, so whatever. But like, if you look earlier in the season, he was not as good. So I think he suffers there. It's kind of a wash at that position almost. Is Vernon Davis even going to play? I don't know, and I would put in Rudolph anyway.
So that means both Redskin tight ends are questionable.
Yeah, just take out Vernon Davis and put in Rudolph. Whoa,
I don't want the millennials to accuse you of collusion. You have to rephrase that statement differently.
There's
You
no...
can't give him advice on what to do.
Absolutely you can. First of all, I don't even think he listens to this podcast. Second of all, there's no collusion statute in our league. I can tell him whatever the fuck I want. Just like I can...
I'm just joking, obviously. I don't give a rat's ass. Officially, as a commissioner, I don't give a rat's ass.
I know.
About any of that stuff.
I know. It's just a commentary. I have free speech rights in this league. No. Yeah. And then Ebron. I mean, he's going against Cleveland. Ugh. I mean, my computer doesn't even want to load this as to how much they don't care. 6 and 7 and 1. Ugh. I mean, he had 15 points in week 2. Oh, my God. I mean, obviously, Lombardi's suffering from not having Ertz. So he's trying to make the best of that situation. Then going with Theo Riddick on top of that. Although, didn't Riddick do well? 11 points. I guess that's well for Riddick.
Yeah, but most of it was on one catch.
Yeah, I mean, Abdullah was the one who was getting the touches, which is actually for his best bud there, Eugene. So interesting. Tyler Lockett though still sucks. I mean, he could put him. No, he can't. He's got nobody. I don't know. I'm picking. This is gonna be a classic Lombardi game where he doesn't do anything, but he wins anyway because his opponent can't. Just doesn't get anything either. I would. I mean, he'll probably win by this pathetic projection, 102 to 82, even if together. I mean, like, I'm picking Lombardi, but like, know that you don't deserve it. You're lucky of who you're playing. I mean, coming off of last week, whatever. But yes, Lombardi will win, but he shouldn't. If a team, I don't know. Go ahead. What are you picking?
All right, I'm done calling Lombardi a low-end Coach 3 because there's no point to it anymore. Obviously, there was a nerve struck the last podcast where that kind of stuff was going on. So Lombardi, I officially apologize. I was kind of unsportsmanlike, I guess. So, in terms of pick'em, I mean, the lightning rod is just screwed. I don't know what he's going to do about this mess. So I have to pick Lombardi, but once again, Lombardo, I mean, it doesn't look like the opponent's really going to put up much any. I mean, you never know. I mean, my opponent had 1.6 points last week. At the halftime of the 1 o'clock games, which you think is a laugher. I mean, you never know in this league, but I think Lombardi's got this one all wrapped up again.
I don't think he has it wrapped up, but I think he's gonna. I think he's gonna. He got another win. I think it's been the blue style lately. Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. Moving on. Dave's Secret Crush versus House Targaryen. I mean, you gotta know that Dr. Hockey wants to win this game. Because, it's not that he needs the $5, but he enjoys his little rivalry there that he has with Eugene. I mean, he doesn't have.
I'm going to say this: no matter who Hockey puts in at quarterback or kicker, it's still going to be 75-25.
I know. I mean, first of all, he doesn't have Carson Wentz, so one of his weapons is out for him, so that's a problem. And does he have a backup? He doesn't have a backup, but I mean, he could always drop the kicker and then pick up another quarterback. Not that I know who's available even. Okay, well, Roethlisberger at Indianapolis. On paper, that's actually a good-ish matchup. Because Indianapolis sucks, but Roethlisberger sucks too. So, and he sucks even worse on the road. I mean, I think he'll do better than 0. Whoever Hockey scrapes off the bottom of the trash can.
Is that right? Yeah, he had like 10 quarterbacks in his roster earlier. Now he has none. This guy's a madman.
I know. Yeah. It's Dr. Hockey. What do you want? Yeah. So, okay. Advantage Roethlisberger. Why is this happening? Wait. Why is Russell Wilson not playing?
I don't know. Especially when he can get 2 firsts or Doug Baldwin. I don't know. That's how he won last week.
Yeah, what is going on? He thinks Arizona is so deadly? I mean, or does he just think that Indianapolis is that bad? Because they're not. I mean, yeah, they're that bad, but Roethlisberger on the road is too. Like, what are you doing, man? I mean, look, I know it's Dr. Hockey and it's like a joke of a game, but I mean, you're still going to kind of want to play. I mean, don't. By all means, please don't. I would certainly appreciate the extra, But, okay. Well, whatever. Baldwin. But he's playing Baldwin. Okay, whatever. Julio Jones versus Dallas. I give the edge there. Fitzgerald versus Seattle. I mean, and that's... Yet he's keeping Fitzgerald in versus Seattle. I mean, that's going to be tough, Bob. I mean, does he have anybody else to put in there? No. Cooks against Denver, I wouldn't do that. Although, none of the other receivers are playing because Hogan's injured, Amendola's injured. I might even consider putting Brooks in there or Cooks in there. I'm questioning Eugene's decisions this week, but okay. Marlon Mack going against Abdullah versus Cleveland. Oh. I mean, I don't even know. Mac, what is he? I mean, whatever. Um, so does he go with DeMarco Murray or you can't even go with Marshawn Lynch, so he doesn't even have to make the decision. DeMarco Murray, he's awful going against, who's the other guy? Oh, Le'Veon Bell back. I'm certainly going to give the edge to Le'Veon Bell at Indianapolis. Witten is dog shit. Ingram is fine. He'll do okay against San Francisco. DeAndre Hopkins against the Rams. I think this is where he's going to finally start to see some of that savage play. And it's going to come down in point totals. Golden Tate actually against... I'm actually going to give the edge to Golden Tate in that matchup. Walsh against... he has a backup kicker, doesn't he? Forbath. And the Atlanta defense. Philadelphia's on a buys, but he actually bid for the New Orleans defense, which is interesting. They've been good lately. They have 18 points last week, but we'll see. So he's obviously going to play that. Yeah, I mean, obviously you got to give this game to Eugene. I mean,
this is like lock of the week.
Yeah, I mean,
Dr. Hockey back in his familiar role as lock of the week.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, Eugene can make all of these moves this week. It doesn't matter. I mean, if I was Eugene, I would set it and forget it. I mean, it doesn't even matter. Yeah, you're good. You're good, Eugene. 7. Welcome to 7-3. You can already pencil that in. All right, next game.
It's a bye week.
Yeah. Black Ice Dynasty versus Nick and Jamie. This is a very interesting matchup, actually.
This has the makings for just a slugfest.
Or one of those weeks where both of those players where you're like, what? Like, where they get nothing.
Well, they put in a lot of the superstars that got them points last week. This could be interesting.
Yeah, and it's a really...
And 3 empty slots. They're just the opposite of most teams.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting. That's very interesting. Like, they have room. Like,
they're just a bunch of sharks waiting for somebody to drop somebody.
I know. I mean, I will say these are probably, these are two high-end. These are two high-end coach ones.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta hand. Both of these coaches are, I think that these are two of the best coaches in this league. I don't know if their record. What?
Aside paying $30 for their kicker, which was a little bit eccentric, but I'll give it to them. I'll allow them such splurging on a kicker. They're such great coaches.
Yeah, I don't know what happened there. Like, I don't think. I mean, Boswell. I mean, I really want $30 for that? I didn't understand that. And they bid what, like 30 also on Forte, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they were very active in free agency.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, they could have just bid 59 on Forte and 1 on Boswell and gotten them both, but okay. Anyway, looking at the game, so you have Mariota versus Tom Brady. Obviously, advantage Tom Brady. AJ Green not suspended going at Tennessee versus Rashard Matthews going against Cincinnati. So that's the receivers are going against each other in this game. I'm going to give the edge to AJ Green, clearly. Antonio Brown versus T.Y. Hilton. This is an interesting matchup. I mean, and they're playing each other. Like, Pittsburgh's playing Indianapolis. That's a good matchup.
3 times Hilton has gotten 24 points or better.
I mean, and
then Antonio Brown has done it 3 times. This is 4 times. This is a good matchup.
And they play each other. Like,
yep.
Like, oof. I mean, so both of their receiving pairs are on opposite teams playing each other. Wow.
Yep.
Then Jones against Melvin Gordon. Now, Gordon going against Nick's best offensive player, the Jacksonville defense. And Jones going against Chicago is pretty damn good, and he only got 3 points last week. advantage. Gordon. And then McCaffrey versus Adrian Peterson. Peterson's going against Seattle. McCaffrey's going against Miami. I think it gives a clear running back edge to Minor here. Brait versus Gronk. Obviously, Gronk advantage of Gronk. And then Kamara versus Woods. Now, Woods is going against a depleted Houston team, and Kamara going against Buffalo. I think Woods can actually put up some numbers here, but I'm going to give the edge to Kamara. And Minor has not picked up a defense yet. I'm sure he will. Oh, he picked up the Chicago defense, so he'll play the Chicago defense.
He's got everything covered.
Yeah, I was never worried about Minor. Yeah. So he's going to have the Chicago defense going against Seattle defense. I'm going with Minor. Even though the projection is in favor of Nick and Jamie, that projection in their favor is without Minor having a defense. Once he does put it in there, they're going to be favored anyway. And I think LeVar has the edge at running. His two running backs have the edge, and frankly, the AJ Green T.Y. Hilton combo is, I think, better than. Look, Antonio Brown is good, obviously. That's an understatement of the year. But Rashard Matthews, that combo, I don't know. I think it's close, but I'm going to give the edge to LeVar in this game.
This is a damn close matchup right now.
It is.
Damn close, with a lot of great players, tough matchups, two great coaches. Man, this could be the second game of the year.
Yeah. This is very much like this is very much like the Eugene game versus me, where it was just, everybody was playing each other within the game, and it was just so close.
Wow, this is tough. I still got to give it to LeVar though. I'm gonna go Black Ice Dynasty, edging them out. I think that Brady and Gronk going against the Bronco defense. Their offense is horrid, but the defense is still kind of together, even though they're imploding. Antonio Brown's gonna carve up Indianapolis.
But that might
a tough for Jones.
But that might lead to T.Y. Hilton, some T.Y. Hilton points if they carve him up,
They might.
Anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
Jones with a tough matchup. Peterson with a tough matchup.
Huh.
Yeah, Nick and Jamie have a lot of tough matchups in that. Meanwhile, LeVar, Jacksonville, Miami, this tough match. This is just completely even right down the line, even down to the matchups. Yeah, I got LeVar in a slightest margin edges them out.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, that would be... And look, this is... look, if Nick and Jamie can win this game, they tie themselves with Black Ice Dynasty in record, and they may actually overtake them in terms of standings, because right now, Nick and Jamie have 1,079 points, and Black Ice Dynasty only has 998 points. So they have a little over an 80-point lead on them. So yeah, you want to talk about implications in a game. If they win this game, they move up until the fifth slot, at least. And Black Ice Dynasty maybe moves down. Is almost in danger of not making the playoff. He's in sixth, but depending on, Black Ice Dynasty only has 40 more points than you do. Frankly, which, if you have a good game, you could. Or Nicky Baby certainly has more points than Black Ice. Black Ice Dynasty has to be careful, because if they lose this game, they can find themselves out of the playoffs. Or at least
scratching to get back in.
Although they're a dangerous team to have outside looking in. I will speak for. You are a playoff team or a team that's outside looking in on the playoffs. Who do you really want to battle between these two to get in, to scratch and claw your way back in against?
It's a mess. It's a brutal. Either one of these teams is a disaster to go up against.
Yeah. But then again, if Nick and Jamie loses, I mean, LeVar moves to 6-4, could potentially. I mean, Eugene's not going to lose, so I'm not going to say second place. And I don't think Lombardi is either, but maybe. I mean, theoretically, could move to third or second. So I mean, he could go anywhere. Depending on certain results, he can go from like 3rd to 10th, depending on this game. Yeah, and Nick and Jamie can go. Nick and Jamie have like more points. Frankly, they have more points than Lombardi. Now, granted, they can't catch Lombardi this week, but they could move ahead of Tillich, or they can move anywhere from 4th to like 9th or 10th. I mean, you want to talk about like a huge game? This is it.
Yeah, and then at 4 and 6, it's tough for them to scratch their way back. They have to win. Both these teams have to win.
Yeah. Which is so surprising. I mean, like, LeVar doesn't have to win as badly because they have the one game in hand, but I mean, it's tough. I mean, because they don't have the kind of point totals, the points for in the tiebreaker. So, I mean, which would be unbelievable considering how good LeVar is playing. I mean, it's been kind of a roller coaster ride. I mean, the first week of the year, I said his team was the worst team I've ever seen in my life, and then he really improved it, and he's been just really good lately. So, but to think that like one of those teams might not make it, to think that LeVar's team would not make, I mean, that's like almost inconceivable to me. But I mean, I guess it's totally possible. And Nick and Jamie's team, I've kind of just been ignoring them for the most part, but they've been making so many moves. I mean, like I've been ignoring their. Them because of the record, but not in terms of the moves. I think that they've been doing fantastically coaching. I just, felt like, oh, well, it just feels like they're just not getting the wins. But I mean, like they're a team you don't want to face. Like, it's interesting. That's probably the best game of the week. By
right
far.
Now, me and Nick, and then LeVar and Jamie, those are the games with the most on the line this week.
Yeah, absolutely. Then we move to the last game of the week, which the special team, the Whalers versus the Millennials. I mean, look, the Whalers at multiple points in this season, I've written. I think he even wrote himself off. But he has clawed his way back to 4 and 5. Is Elliott resuspended? He has a 0 next to his game.
Well, no, they have a hearing tomorrow.
All right, well, whatever. They're listing him as having 0 points.
I don't know why that is.
I don't know.
I guess pending the hearing tomorrow.
I guess. Who the hell? Who knows what's going on with him? Anyway.
Just pencil into play. Elliott's such a bitch.
Yeah, he's going to play. So, for the Millennials, he has not made any... He has a bunch of players on a bye. He's clearly not done anything right now. But he does have bench players, obviously. So, but he doesn't have a quarterback. Both Alex Smith and Derek Carr are on a bye this week. So he's got to do something about that. Then he's got Cooper on a bye, but he can move Kelvin Benjamin up, who should be playing this week, now that he's moved over to Buffalo. So I don't know about the quarterback matchup. Michael Thomas versus Kelvin Benjamin. So those are two wide receivers going against each other. Marvin Jones versus Demaryius Thomas. That's actually an interesting matchup. Marvin Jones, we saw what he could do last week, and now this week he's going against Cleveland. And Demaryius Thomas has been performing pretty well of late, going against a weak New England defense. So it's actually a pretty good matchup there. Carlos Hyde going against Williams. That's a good matchup. Ezekiel Elliott against Foreman. That's a terrible matchup. But he can put in Howard or McKinnon. So, well, all right. Clearly, this is what the Millennials needs to do. He needs to move Williams down to the flex, put in Howard and McKinnon, move in Benjamin. Okay, I'm assuming that will be his lineup at least, or whatever. I don't know. And then Whalers has nobody on the bench really, except for Crowder, who has.
Yeah, what do you do about his quarterback?
No, I know he has to do something about his quarterback. I'm just saying, absent that, I look. It's very hard to assess this game since nobody's made any moves yet, really. But I mean, who does even go? I mean, he can dig a quarterback out of the garbage can.
Yeah, but where do you put him on the team?
I'm pretty sure he could drop Aguilar or Foreman. I mean, I don't think that there's a huge market for D Foreman. So he has room. Let's see. He could pick up Dalton this week. It's not a bad pickup. Yeah, I mean, he could get himself a quarterback. Let's assume. I don't know if he is or he's not or whatever, but let's assume that he picked up Andy Dalton, right? Going against Tennessee. The rest of his lineup for him, I think, if he makes the proper edits, puts in McKinnon, puts in Howard, takes out Foreman, moves Williams down to the flex, I think he could beat the Whalers here.
Was that with or without Ezekiel Elliott?
I was going with.
So you could still beat him with him?
Nah. I mean, Hyde is going against the Giants. I mean, but Croft and Allen Hurns. I don't think he's. Yeah. I mean, I don't. You go from. I mean, we shouldn't do this, and we should pre-design who we want to talk about, because you go from one of the best games of the week, or even of the season, in LeVar versus Nick and Jamie, and then you move to this game, and you're just like, blah.
Well, if Millennials loses, he's essentially knocked out of the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, yes.
7-6, he still has hope.
Yeah, if he look
7-6 is pretty much in the conversation, but 6 and 7, then no, you're out.
Yeah, so I mean, Millennials has to win this game, but and I mean, it would be amazing if the Whalers got himself back to 500. I mean, I think his team name is even mocking how bad his team is, and for him to have come back. I mean, I don't even know what's. I mean, he had the 2-point win against me. I mean, oh my god. And for him to be 5-5 in the playoff conversation. I mean, what are his points?
Forget that. Forget playoffs. He's ahead of me right now at 4-5.
Yeah, I know. There you go. Exactly. He has 1,000 points. I mean, he's. Whew. I mean, but if he loses this, then he moves to 4-6, and it becomes much more difficult. And then the Millennials moves to 4-6 also. Then they're basically they're in the same boat. But they both will still have a chance. I mean, at 4-6, you still have a chance. At 7, I've been saying this for a while. 7-6 is going to make at least one playoff spot. I don't know if it's going to make multiple ones, but it will make at least one of the playoff spots. And then it really comes down to points. So, I mean, the Millennials is fighting for their playoff life, and the Whalers is basically, fighting. I mean, not as desperately, but he's fighting in the same kind of boat. Yeah, yeah. I don't know. I guess I'm gonna pick the Whalers in this.
It's kind of hard to pick some. I mean,
I'm saying, like, let's assume that the Millennials does that best possible lineup, right? They put in a quarterback, they go get Dalton, right? Okay. Which, I don't know if that's who they're going to go for, so whatever. That's very speculative. But they're going to get a quarterback, whoever it is. They put in Kelvin Benjamin. I think that he could do well in Buffalo. They put in McKinnon. He's been doing well, and he's going against Washington. Howard has been fine. Going against Green Bay, who's weak. Marvin Jones Jr., you saw what he just did. He's going against Cleveland. D. Williams.
Damian Williams will probably be moved down to the flex. And then it's just the one question: what does this guy do for the quarterback position?
I mean, all right. Let me ask you this. Let's say that you give the Millennials their optimal lineup. If they do that, would you favor them against the Whalers or not? I mean, because obviously right now, I mean, it's 99-49. It's he's not playing anybody. It's a joke. But like, okay, would you favor the Millennials or would you favor the Whalers?
On the road at Buffalo after they just got spanked by the Jets, I think Demaryius Thomas and Hyde against the Giants. I don't want to be cliche and say it's whether Elliott plays or not, but if Elliott doesn't play, Whalers finished. Let's just put it that way.
Oh, I agree.
And if it does, I think the Millennials can edge him out.
Yeah. I agree. I think so. There's like 3 different predictions that we have in this game. Or maybe 4. So the first one is, if things stay as they are, then yes, you obviously pick the Whalers. But they're not going to. So then the second prediction is, if Elliott plays. So how do you go on that prediction? If Elliott plays...
then I guess I give it to the Whalers.
Same here. Now, Elliott doesn't play.
The Millennials,
and you give it to the Millennials. Right. Yeah. So 3 different, whatever. Yeah, so that's my yeah, you can't even do one. So yeah. All right, that's it for all the games, I guess. Then.
Yeah.
I mean, I clearly have to go with my same lock of the week that I was going with all along, which is Dave's Secret Crush against House Targaryen. I mean, it's not going to be close.
Yeah, that's the lock. I mean, that's clearly the lock of the week.
Well, let's do something new. What do you think is the potential upset of the week?
Upset of the week. Obviously, Tilla-Trey over the 1603ers.
Although, I mean, he's favorite. I mean, at least in points. I mean, I guess.
No.
You're right. I mean, I guess because of record, I would agree with that. I would agree that that's the upset of the week. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, I guess that's gonna do it, right? Anything else?
Yeah, that should wrap it up.
Yep. I mean, 2 huge games this week. Hagglers versus Nikki Baby and Black Ice Dynasty versus Nikki Baby or Nick and Jamie. Yeah, and so good luck to, and then then for me, obviously the 03ers versus Tilla-Trey, a particularly vulnerable 1603ers. Anyway, but the 2 games to watch are really Nikki Baby versus the Hagglers and Black Ice Dynasty versus Nick and Jamie. But anyway, yeah, that's going to do it. Until next week. Thanks for joining us. Hope you wishing you good luck in all your games this week. Bye, everybody.
Yeah, people. Good luck. Goodbye.